As I reported before, the EU Commission wants to classify nuclear power and natural gas as sustainable, in line with France and Germany. Environmentalists are appalled that the dispute could become a burden for the German Greens. The German federal government welcomes the fact that the EU Commission is classifying natural gas as a transition technology in the fight against climate change. For the federal government, against the background of the phasing out of nuclear energy and coal-fired power generation, natural gas is an important bridging technology on the way to greenhouse gas neutrality, said a government spokesman, with a view to the proposal of the EU Commission for the sustainability classification of energy sources. It is therefore to be welcomed that there are provisions on this, they said. However, these still have to be analyzed in detail. The attitude of the federal government towards nuclear energy is unchanged. The federal government is still of the conviction that nuclear energy cannot be classified as sustainable, added the spokesman. Well, the tone of the statement is slightly different from the comments made by Economics and Climate Minister Robert Habeck and Environment Minister Steffi Lemke, who are both from the Greens, and they made their statements on Saturday. Both had criticized the proposal of the EU Commission to want to declare nuclear power and natural gas with conditions and temporarily as sustainable forms of energy. Well, above all, they sharply criticized the classification of nuclear energy as sustainable. Habeck wrote in a statement, "It is also questionable whether to include fossil gas in the taxonomy. We do not see any approval of the new proposals of the EU Commission. After all, the EU Commission wants a transition to the use of hydrogen in gas-fired power plants from 2035. The EU Commission was given the task of classifying the sustainability of energy sources for private investments." And the German Finance Minister Christian Lindner from the Liberals at least partially praises the EU Commission's proposals. He says, "Realistically, Germany needs modern gas-fired power plants as a transition technology because we are foregoing coal and nuclear power." Lindner told that to the German newspaper Süddeutsche Zeitung. And he said, "From the perspective of climate neutrality, the systems should later be able to be used with hydrogen." Well, although he reacted negatively to the fact that the EU Commission wants to recognize nuclear energy as green, it is well known that the federal government takes a different view than the Commission on the issue of nuclear energy, said Lindner. Specifically, the plans of the EU Commission provide that planned investments in new nuclear power plants in countries such as France, Poland, and the Netherlands can be classified as sustainable if the plants meet the latest technical standards and a specific plan for a disposal facility for high-level radioactive waste, and that has to be submitted by 2050 at the latest. In addition, it should be a condition that the new facilities receive a building permit by 2045. Investments in new gas-fired power plants should also be able to be classified as sustainable, especially at Germany's request. For example, it would be relevant how many greenhouse gases are emitted and whether the systems can also be operated with green hydrogen or low carbon gas by 2035 at the latest. The classification of economic activities by the EU Commission within the framework of the so-called taxonomy is intended to enable investors to switch their investments to more sustainable technologies and companies, and thus make a significant contribution to Europe's climate neutrality by 2050. It is expected that it will have far-reaching effects, as projects classified as sustainable are likely to be much easier and cheaper to finance. There has been a dispute about how to deal with nuclear and gas power for months now. For example, Germany has spoken out against including nuclear power in the taxonomy, but at the same time fought for a green label for gas as a necessary transition technology. For countries like France, on the other hand, nuclear power is a key technology for a carbon-free economy. It could have done without the inclusion of gas. The move by the EU Commission is therefore seen by critics as a lame compromise and a concession to the interests of countries like France and Germany, although Poland and others in Eastern Germany are part of it. The Brussels authorities said at the weekend that the taxonomy would enable the member states to move from their very different starting point positions in the direction of the common goal of climate neutrality. This is why solutions that seem less green at first glance could also be useful. Investments in natural gas and nuclear energy could help accelerate to switch to energy sources with lower emissions. And I'll see you in my next video. Bis gleich.